Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK, my BFF Jill 730.
My BFF Jill 730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations as always. You've made your way to the Buffyngton Post.
You are invited!
Today I'll be taking a break from the Buffyverse because it's time to talk about Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, it's The Spoils of War. And so without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go.
Shall we begin?
Alright, so straight up, I feel like everybody has been dick riding this episode. Everybody was like, oh, it's the best episode ever. It's the most satisfying episode ever. And as always, because I've read the books, I have like my pet peeves with stuff, and I realize like that's my own stuff and I need to get over it. But I really felt like everybody was giving this episode way too much credit until my third viewing. I viewed it Sunday night rather, and then I watched it again Monday night, but I fell asleep. And then I watched it again Tuesday night, and I really enjoyed my third viewing of it more than the prior two. I really was getting what people were so excited about, and I don't think it's the best episode ever. I don't think it's the most satisfying episode ever. I really think people are giving this episode a little too much credit, but at the same time, I can kind of see where everybody's coming from. That's just me. It was a good episode, and like stuff happened. And another thing is, you know, the script leak came out last week, and I didn't watch the leaked episode, and I didn't read the leaked script that I'm imagining was out there, question mark. But I did see, or listen to rather, Rawrist like breaking down the episode summary, and so it was pretty much spoiled for me. And that might have something to do with my initial viewing of it, but at the same time, I don't mind spoilers. Like, I'm one of those, if I'm not going to go and see a movie in the theater, I don't really mind spoilers, because if it's a good product, then it'll affect me in the way that it's supposed to affect me. And so I wasn't riding this episode's dick like everybody else at first, but I do appreciate what's going on here.
Darling, take a look around. There's a lot to see.
And so first off, I do want to talk about the reunion of Sansa and Arya. You know, Arya comes in and whatever, they don't believe that she's her, which is all well and good. But when Sansa realized that Arya was who she was saying that she was, and she knew that Arya would go down to the crypts, that light in Sansa's eyes, it just made me so happy. And then when the girls come together and they embrace, I cried. Because the thing about it is, Arya, she has not been to Winterfell since the second episode of the series. Like, that is when the Stark camp went down to King's Landing, and it just meant so much. Like, when Arya is first out there and she's seeing how dirty and dingy the Stark banners are, because, you know, the Stark banners had been rolled up and not used for years, and for her to look at them and see how dirty and dingy and kind of unkempt not only the banners but the entirety of Winterfell is, it really hit me. It was like, wow, not only are you back home and not only has it changed, but it's almost like it's up to the people in Winterfell now to create a new legacy rather than carry one on as their ancestors had done and such.
It's been a long time.
And just seeing those dirty banners through Arya's eyes, it really woke me up, because I had heard somebody talking about, well, why are the banners suddenly this yellow color? And when Arya looks at one of them, you can see that there is still that gray field in the back, but it's just so dingy and dirty from all of this time wasted and not being cleaned on a regular basis, because, of course, the Greyjoys and then the Boltons had taken Winterfell, and I really did like that. But when Sansa and Arya embraced, I just cried because, I mean, these are sisters, and sure, they didn't understand one another, and they didn't necessarily like one another, but they love one another, and there's something to having a sibling, especially, like, for me, like, I'm the youngest in one part of my family, but I'm the middle in another part of my family, and so that dynamic I could really feel with meeting up with Sansa and then meeting up with Bran, like all of that, it really gave me the feels in a big way. And just to think about everything that these girls have been through, and that here they still stand, and they've been through everything that they've been through, and sure, when they were children they had a certain dynamic where one couldn't really understand the other, but now it's to the nth degree. Like, they are family, they love each other, and they understand parts of each other, but they never really understand one another, and that hasn't gone away through these years that they've been separated, and I just really liked that. The one thing that I really didn't like is the fact that they never even mentioned the fact that Rickon had died right in front of Sansa, you know? And I wasn't here for that. I mean, a simple line of dialogue, because when Sansa says Bran's back too, you can see that she's like, Bran's back, but not only is he crippled, but he's wrong. And you know, when they're walking up to Bran by the weirwood tree, it's a line of dialogue. Sansa could say, he's been so frail and like weird, I haven't even told him about Rickon, implying that she had told Arya about Rickon on the way to Bran, and then when they come up to Bran could be like, oh, did Sansa tell you about Rickon? That way everybody would know that there's something super weird going on with Bran in the first place. But anyway, I really didn't like the fact that they didn't address Rickon, but I did like seeing the Stark children together, and the fact that they were kind of bouncing off of one another, talking about Littlefinger and all this extra, and the dagger stuff is fine, I guess, but Bran, you know, he reminds me of myself when I was on like a super acid trip this one time, and people were talking about this and talking about that, but I was only interested if they were asking questions, because my mind was just in a like figure it out mode, and like that's where Bran is for me. Like, he's super like tripping.
What are you doing?
And when it comes to him and Mira, here comes Mira. She spent however long, like this chunk of her life with this guy, and he's just like, holla back or don't, like, whatever, chick. And she's over here just thinking, dude, you are playing way too much heroin hero. You need to come back to reality. But Bran is never coming back to reality. I feel like him being connected to everything and at the same time kind of nothing is really, I could see Bran dying. I really could see Bran dying by the end of all of this, because he's not like a person anymore. And I know that's not really fair to Bran, but I just feel like his personhood has kind of been stripped from him, and I kind of feel uncomfortable with this kind of super being existing in the body of a beloved person and family member and brother and son, you know what I mean? It's just super weird to me, and I understand that Bran has to have this higher calling or whatnot, but it just, it frightens me for Bran, and I almost wish that he will die just so that he can actually have some peace. I don't know what happens when the Three-Eyed Raven dies, but I kind of hope that he does die, just to put him out of his misery, because it can't be fun being him, you know?
You can't sit with us!
But then we've got Brienne, and we have Podrick reminding Brienne that, like, no matter what she did or did not do, here the Stark children are together, and she can actually stand up and defend all of them where they stand today, and or not stand in Bran's case or whatever, but I like that. And when they had this conversation between Brienne and Podrick, I'm just sitting here like, I need more Brienne in my life. I need more for Brienne to do. I need like an entire show about Brienne, because she's such a wonderful, wonderful character. You know, you could talk about the books all I want to all day long, and how wonderful Brienne is as a written character whose head you're halfway in. But even on the show, we have spent so much time with Brienne, and she's such a good woman. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, she's a good woman, and she has honor, and she has duty, and she cares about what's right and wrong. And I need more of her. I could watch an entire series about the adventures of Brienne of Tarth, like, doing her thing, trying to, like, keep peace in the realm, or what the heck ever, like, do honor to her family, or what the heck ever. Like, I need more Brienne in my life, and I feel like we're not going to get it. I could actually see Brienne dying before all is said and done. So I need more Brienne. And that fight between Brienne, like the sparring between Brienne and Arya, it was nice and it was fun, but it was just totally fan service. And rather than give us this thing to kind of show off, like, these sword skills that Arya shouldn't have, because the entire time that she was in Braavos, she was not training with swords. So what the heck ever, but I don't know, man. It felt way too fan servicey where we could have spent time elsewhere.
Wake up.
So we've got this thing with Daenerys and Missandei, and then they meet Jon, and he takes her into the caves before they start mining the dragon glass. And it's like super pretty in there, and he shows her all the stuff. But it was like weirdly sexy, and not like, oh, it's so sexy and it ought not to be. It was clearly like sexy, but it was like weird for it to be so sexy at the same time. There was something about it. I was like, oh, are they about to kiss? And then when they were walking out of the cave, I was like, are they holding hands? I really, like, the way that it was blocked, it totally looked like they were holding hands, and I guess they weren't. But my whole thing is, like, Daenerys, hello, wake up. This guy is ruling over half of the kingdom. Why aren't we bringing up the marriage idea? He doesn't want to bend the knee to you, so why aren't we talking about marriage? And of course, we have Davos talking to Jon a bit later when they're talking to Missandei about the fact that they all chose to follow her. They don't care about where she's from or where she's going. They care about who she is and what she stands for, and that's all well and good. But we did have Davos saying, "Oh, I seen you checking her out." So I don't know why nobody's talking about marriage, especially since they're like fast tracking this entire season. Like, marriage.
Duh.
But anyway, like, my favorite part of the episode was when they showed the White Walkers on the cave wall, and the White Walkers had these blue stones in their eyes. I thought the attention to detail for that was beautiful, and it made the episode for me. I was like, that's good. The Children of the Forest went out of their way to make sure you knew that they had these glowing blue eyes, and they're fucking scary. I really enjoyed that, and I do like the chemistry between Jon and Daenerys, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like it was weirdly sexy with no payoff. So I guess we'll get some sexy payoff with them, maybe, but I don't know. The cave stuff was cool, mostly because of, for me, the eyes of the White Walker on the wall. Like, I thought it was gorgeous. So then we've got Cersei talking to Mr. Banker, and the thing that really hit me in this episode is that, Cersei, when she's listening to the banker guy, and she appears to get kind of bored with him, she just goes and pours herself some wine, and then whatever, she talks about getting this money back and then hiring the Golden Company. And, like, for those of you who don't know, the Golden Company is it's basically like an army of sellswords. They call it a sellsword company, but think about it like an entire army of people like Braun who just, they get paid and then they go and do what you pay them for. That's it. And so, like, that's what the Golden Company basically is. But I was sitting here thinking, Cersei is always a character who just kind of gets by. She's thinking about tomorrow, but she's not thinking about the day after tomorrow. Whereas this scene with Cersei and the banker, it was the first time that I felt like Cersei really understood what was up and what's down. In the books, she's like drinking and drinking and drinking, and she thinks she's got everything under control. But here, she was drinking and drinking and drinking, but she's looking toward the future. Like, she is got her eye on the prize, and this was a big moment for me because I've never felt like Cersei really thought 2 steps ahead of where she is. She seems like somebody who just wants to keep herself where she is and make sure that she's still there tomorrow, not necessarily next week. And so I really had to applaud Cersei. Like, drink your wine and think about the day after tomorrow. I was here for it. And I will say that one thing that I have noticed, and I've meant to have been bringing it up, but has anybody else noticed that Cersei and Daenerys are basically wearing the same garb? They're both wearing these high-collared black dresses. And I know Dany wears pants under hers, but there's something aesthetically to the way that they are mirroring one another with their black and silver garments that it's something that I've noticed, and I think they really are trying to draw a parallel to the fact that Daenerys, people suspect her of becoming the Mad Queen, but really Cersei is the Mad Queen, only here, again, they kind of subvert that by giving Daenerys the kind of go-get-em attitude that Cersei usually has, and giving Cersei this kind of reserved madness. And with that madness, she's actually quite calculated, which is kind of oxymoronic, but that's what I got from it. And real quick about the map, because my friend Reed at work is telling me to talk about the map. I wish that the map actually reflected where we were going in the episodes, because all season long we've had Pike, the Iron Islands, the Iron Islands, and Pike is the capital there. They keep popping up, and I'm just we're not spending any time in Pike, so why are we wasting that on the opening credits? And in episodes where Old Town is not even, we haven't had Old Town for the past 2 episodes. Well, did we have Old Town last episode? Yeah, we did. But this episode, Old Town didn't come up in the at all. We weren't there, so I don't know why we're having the map show us places that we're not going to go within the episode, and I know that they don't want to cut an opening credit sequence for every individual episode, but it would just make more sense to not include places on the map that we're not going to every episode,
Exactly.
So Theon came back, and then Bronn this episode, Bronn was really interesting for me because we have him in the beginning talking about how he wants gold and he wants a castle and all this extra, and that's all well and good, but the moment that really kind of turned it from me, again when I watched it the 3rd time, was he sees his gold all laid out, but the battle is going on, and he ignores the gold and he goes and fights for the cause. And that is the biggest turning point for the Bronn character that I think we've ever had, and the fact that he saves Jaime at the very end, it really speaks to where his loyalties lie, and the fact that I feel like at this point he would rather actually have friends and personal relationships that he can count on and go back to than just some money, which is, big character development for Bronn, We have him, he doesn't slay a dragon, but he takes a dragon down in this episode, and that's a big deal. No man has taken down a dragon for 100 years or so, because they just haven't been around, and the first dragon this man ever sees he takes down, which is fucking impressive. So go Bronn, and I like that he valued his kind of friendship, kinship situation with Jaime over a sack of gold. That really told me that Bronn is in it to win it, and he's not just here for shits and giggles anymore, and that says a lot about a man. So go Bronn.
That was excellent.
And Daenerys in this episode, she's understandably fed up with her situation. She's been trying for, we'll give her 3 years, we'll say, to kind of stake her claim on reality. At first she was just basically a slave, and then she's worked her way up to being the powerhouse in Westeros. I mean, sure, her dragon got taken down, but she had a dragon to be taken down, and then the dragon stood up for her, even though it was all, Drogon's my life. And so Daenerys, understandably, she's fed up with these kind of restrictions upon her, and she just goes ham. She's like, I'm doing it to it. I'm just over here I understand maybe not giving her a bunch of armor, because she's a very slight young woman, and she probably couldn't walk around in armor, but a helmet, just a helm, something. And I'm thinking Daenerys, she could have a Valkyrie helmet, kind of how Thor has with the with the eagle wings on either side, but like dragon wings. Like, let's get this girl a helmet. People are shooting arrows at her. Like, we don't have to armor her up all the way. Just like give her a helmet, you know? Come on, guys. But anyway, so Daenerys comes in, and I do like that once Drogon was hit, her immediate thought was, fix my baby. You know, Daenerys, she doesn't have any children, and Mirri Maz Duur told her, you won't have any more children, and so the dragons are all that she has. And so her immediate reaction being to, like, get this thing out of her baby, it made a lot of sense, and I cared about what she was trying to do in that moment, because they are basically the ace up her sleeve, her very long, black, Cersei-ish sleeves. And so, you know, that was interesting. And the final battle overall, when you actually see, the final battle, before you see them, you hear them. And in the books, and I want to say in the show they're called the Dothraki Screamers, but in the books in particular, they're called the Dothraki Screamers, and I never really understood why. Like, in the books, all the Dothraki, they have bells in their hair for all the men that they've killed, and so you can hear them coming just by their bells, but here you could hear them coming because they were screaming, and I really enjoyed that. It was so visceral, and like, here the fuck we come. They were doing their Xeno war cry over here, and I'm here for it, you know what I'm saying? And the battle was pretty damn, like, good, you know? People everywhere, chopping horses' legs off and all the extra, like, it was fun, and there's really not much to be said about it other than fire and brimstone and people turn into literal ash. It was pretty damn good.
All that we say and do is right.
But yeah, Planet Earth, I wasn't like as jazzed about this episode as everybody else was, I feel, but it definitely had some strong moments. It had some moments where I'm like, again, like, where's the logic? But, you know, here we are. So let me know what you thought of the spoils of war in the comment section down below. I'm Preston L. Young, and you can come right back here to the Buffyngton Post anytime for Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Angel reviews, Buffyverse discussions on the other Slayers. You can check out Buffy Season 8, Season 9, Season 10, Angel and Faith Season 9, Angel and Faith Season 10, and more. More Game of Thrones episode reviews, etc. Hope you're having a great 2017 so far, everybody. Have yourself a great day today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords. You may not be able to fight like a samurai, but you can at least die like a samurai.
One jump ahead of the hoofbeats, one hop ahead of the hump, one trick ahead of disaster. They're quick, but I'm much faster.
Red, you go. Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
In a time of ancient gods, warlords, and kings, a land in turmoil cried out for a hero. Xena, a mighty princess forged in the heat of battle. The power, the passion, the danger. Her courage will change the world.
Of the rhythm I wrote, and while I get a chance here, let me clear my throat. Oh!
Okay. My BFF. Joe? 730.